Hi, welcome back to Keep It Dirty, a podcast where my guests share their life living functionally and sustainably, and the why behind their experiences navigating through our ever changing environment. And today I am pleased to introduce my fellow functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioners, Stacy Hirschman, Susan Connor, and Linda Stevenson. So we'd love to get the ball rolling when the big question today is really, have you been led to believe that your genes play a role in your health? And we're going to have some really interesting conversations over the next several weeks on Keep It Dirty. So, Linda, we'd love for you to share some of the why behind our functional nutrition.
Thank you, Leslie. I'd be very happy to share that. We think of this as like a coffee chat, even though we're not drinking coffee at the moment, but we're hoping it will be informative, informal, inspirational, and insightful for you. We are Root Cause Connections, and four of us are functional nutritionists and lifestyle practitioners, practicing through a functional lens, emphasizing the importance of lifestyle and nutrition in your health journey. And we're so happy to share our passions with you today. So, what is a functional lens? A functional lens requires a shift from symptoms to systems of the body, seeing symptoms as branches in helping the discovery of personalized root causes. And that has to embrace three principles. Everything is connected in your healthcare. Everything matters, even what you just had for breakfast. And everyone is unique, which implies that there is no one size fits all for any chronic health care. And there's no quick fix. That's kind of the bad news. The good news is we are going to be talking about three roots. It's that simple. And those three roots are genes, digestion, and inflammation. And Stacy's going to lead off today with a focus on the genes and what you need to know about your genetic status. So, Stacy, take it away.
Yeah, thanks, Linda. The way you explained that so well. And and as you said, we look at any kind of chronic condition, through that lens of three roots and many branches. The branches being any of your signs and symptoms or diagnoses, and the roots, obviously being what leads to those branches, where the branches grow from. And when we think about the genes, I'm sure many of you, like myself, grew up hearing, oh, you don't have good genes, or your father had this condition, or your grandmother had that condition, and so you're kind of destined to follow that path. And so what we want to really speak into is the fact that maybe not, right? Because of epigenetics, and all that means is that you may have heard the saying that we in the functional realm say all the time, the genes load the gun, but environment pulls the trigger. That's in essence what epigenetics is. It just means that you may have genes that predispose you to something like diabetes, for instance, because it runs in your family. But with lifestyle modifications, you can change that course. And I know I don't personally have diabetes in my family, but I do work with clients who do, or who are pre-diabetic. And just one example is a young girl I had been working with, who, when she came to me, her insulin was, like 25, which is high. We really like to see that number below 10, or even lower, really, but 5-ish. 3 to 5 is a good number, but hers was over 25. Her mom has type 2 diabetes, and she was on that path. And we, in our work together, came to where she started intermittent fasting. Um, and she cut that number in half. She does have a ways to go, but just with a simple lifestyle change. I mean, when we look at the roots and say the genes, we have these factors of sort of a circle of influence. And in the genes, that circle of influence involves, 4 different factors: food, movement, environment, and mindset. So just taking the food piece, part of that is it's quality, quantity, um, timing. Those are some of the factors that influence the food. And just by influencing the timing, making a change to the timing of when she was eating and how long her feeding window was, she was able to make a huge impact on something that will influence her health, for years to come. So, I know, Susan, you have a lot of experience working with people who have diabetes or have blood sugar issues. I know you could speak into this quite well.
Yeah, I mean, I like what all that you said, Stacy and Linda. And just to branch off of that, yeah, the whole genes with the blood sugar and diabetes is just, we know there's such a huge connection. And what can we do to help that, right? Like you mentioned, the food. What about exercise? How does exercise help that blood sugar regulation? And yes, of course it does. Um, it's not even just when you're exercising, it's also when you're finished with exercise. If you're building muscle, that muscle is going to be, if it's nice and you have good tone in your muscle, then that muscle is going to uptake that glucose a little bit easier. So that will bring your blood sugar level down. So there's just, exercise alone, and they're just, there's studies going on all the time showing that, it really, you don't even have to be in that exercise mode. Like we're saying, it continues for a long time after. So it's just something that we need to do, even just getting up, like when after dinner, taking a small little walk, will help. Yeah. And yes, and I have worked with a lot of people, with the blood sugar issues, diabetics, pre-diabetics. And, I think one thing is the glucose monitor is such a great, the Libre is such a great way to see what's being affected, what is affecting that blood sugar from going up and down. So you can see that, oh, it's not just the food, it's my exercise, it's stress, it's environmental triggers that are so bad that are causing all of this too. And I know, like Leslie, that's your love and passion. And so I'd love to hear what you have to say about that.
Thank you, Susan. And we've been having technical difficulties. I just want to make sure, Linda, that you're muted. We're just having an echoing. Thank you, Linda. So yeah, my passion, and I think all of us, it's like that wheelhouse as functional nutrition and lifestyle practitioners, that we so eloquently like to lay out for everybody to see, as Linda was saying, like a roadmap. The food, your mood, the environment, and your mindset, which is so critical. So if we're on fight or flight epigenetically, this can trickle and play a role in your genes, and we could give it to our children, especially going through some world issues. You just want to, your energy is up. You don't know what the next day might be. And this is so critical that can offset our genes, the way that we're feeling, and what we're putting in our mouths. And also all the plastics and toxins, unfortunately, that are found in most of us. And that's something that takes years and years to try to detox ourselves. And some chemicals will never be able to. So that's something that we could have come into this world in a toxic environment. And not that we have to, put a blanket over our heads and say, oh my God, what am I going to do? But you could slowly integrate and practice different levels of just awareness of just the simple. And we all say, start reading packages on labels. A lot of chemicals that are found in the plastics play a role in increasing our estrogen levels. So it's xenoestrogens. There are toxins in the environment that we are inhaling that can offset our hormones too. So that's why this initial conversation is going to be a series of just breaking down and really simplifying and explaining to our viewers and listeners how we can map out and just set some sort of roadmap so we could become more of an advocate for ourselves and for our families, for our children. If there are listeners with little ones, set the foundation early, set good, healthy eating habits. There are a lot of ways that you can repurpose, recycle, and start planting a garden if you can, or in pots if you live in an urban area and you don't have a plot of land in your backyard. It's so gratifying when you could start growing your herbs, knowing that you're nurturing them and your children can help nurture these plants and eat those plants, and how delicious these vegetables and fruits and how good it tastes. And that's sort of like a religion, like you just get into this mode. So there's so many great shares that we all will be partaking and talking about. And I just wanted to circle around again. Stacy, I'm sure there's something else that you might share today. We still have a couple of minutes on Keep It Dirty before we all have to go on to another meeting. But is there anything else you'd like to share?
Well, I did want to just touch on something that Susan said, talking about the exercise. And, one of the things that most people may not be aware of, I think most people are aware of the fact that the connection between insulin and blood sugar, and the fact that insulin is basically the carrier of the blood sugar into our cells, and we need sugar. Our cells need sugar to work. That's how they make their energy. And so we need the insulin to carry it there. However, what people might not be aware of is that an exercised muscle actually does not need insulin in order to uptake that glucose. So when you are working out, exercising, especially doing weight training and building muscle and muscle, we're finding more and more about muscle now, and it's really called the organ of longevity, for a lot of reasons. And one of those reasons is just that. When you have muscle mass, those cells actually can utilize glucose without needing to raise your insulin levels. And the insulin, the high insulin, is really what is most detrimental. When you're talking about the blood sugar cascade, that's what's most detrimental to our overall health. Because when we become insulin resistant, then we're starving our cells, sorry, because, most of them cannot take that glucose. So yes, working out is really, really important, especially as we age, for many reasons. But yeah, that was just something when Susan, when you were talking about the exercise, I just popped in my head. I wanted to make mention.
Yeah, and I like we know about when you don't exercise, again, what happens to the muscle, it atrophies, or sarcopenia is what it's called, and then that will your blood sugar will raise a lot easier. And like you're talking about the insulin, that it's just a whole cascade that happens as we just sit there, and sitting is the new smoking. Like that's so we have to get up and move, and that's what's going to help with that. You're saying the blood sugar and the insulin. Yeah, definitely.
I love that. And also exercise the brain. Start doing my husband
Big.
is a Wordle-aholic. I have a book I gave my mother years ago. It was called The Brain Game, and there are different exercises and puzzles and things to stimulate different parts of your brain, which is so important. Our body was meant to move. So Linda, we'd love to hear a little bit more from you before we wrap this up. And we will be coming back with another fellow practitioner, Salima Ahmad, who will also be sharing more insights. And we'd love to hear everybody's take on this. And if you have any questions, please reach out to us. So maybe, Linda, if you unmute, you could give everybody our Root Cause Connections website. We can't hear you, Linda. Linda. Yeah.
Okay,
There you
how
go.
about now?
Yep.
Thank you, Leslie. And thank you for reminding me to go Wordle. I have not done that today, and I don't want to lose my winning streak here. But again, what attracted me to this functional approach was having a diagnosis that was the recommendation was a prescription drug, and I didn't want to go that route. And so then when I started looking into this, I was like, this makes a lot of sense. A lot of what we're talking about has been known for years and years, but again, the focus is now a shift from a pathological analysis of a system, of an organ, separate organ, to a systems approach. And that requires these three principles to be honored. Everyone is unique. So what I could have the same symptoms as Stacy, but yet our bodies are unique. And so to use the symptoms as branches to discover the root cause, and we are root cause connections. And it sounds overwhelming, but it's not when you think of it as there are three roots. And we've talked about the genes today. We'll be talking about inflammation and digestion. All health starts with digestion. So please stay with us. I hope you've enjoyed this coffee break without the coffee. And we're glad you were here. Thank you.
And how can everybody reach out to us if they have any questions? Maybe they want to see more in-depth information on something, or they're going through something and maybe we could share some insights. Do you remember our website?
RootCauseConnections.com.
That's it. RootCauseConnections.com.
.com.
Yeah, and if anybody wants to reach out to us, you can email us at info@rootcauseconnections.com. And, we're happy to connect with you that way, as well as LinkedIn. And we have a Facebook page as well, Root Cause Connections.
Thank you, Stacy. And I will have that on the show notes. So anyway, I want to thank everybody today. It really went so well. We've been planning and preparing this, and thank you for all our viewers and listeners. And we're really looking forward to sharing our valuable conversations that we've been having over the last several years. And we thought, let's bring it to a podcast. So again, thank you, everybody. And remember, get out there, ground with Mother Earth, and keep it dirty. Take care.
Thank you.